Week, what are we on now? 12, Drew, in the NFL is in the books, and somebody's team did fantastic today, so I'm having a good time.
Offensive powerhouse now.
And your boys on the rest for that big matchup against Oakland. Dangerous game against them here. We're going to talk about that Oakland game as well. A lot of surprises. A lot of surprises. Yeah, let me just say, before we get started, welcome in, guys, to Sports Around the Bar, your favorite sports talk show, I'm sure. I'm still working on the beginning, but welcome in. Glad you're here. I'll say this. How did you pick the Redskins to win? They did it one other time against the Dolphins. How's that even possible?
Well,
when you said that in the last show, I was like, chalk one up for me.
Well, let me just tell you, when you love and dedicate your life to this sport like I do, maybe then you could have the intuition like I do.
I guess so. I thought I spent enough time with this, but obviously it's not. We're going to redouble our efforts and buckle down for these last few weeks, and hopefully I'll be able to edge you out. Because now, with the Patriots...
I was drunk.
We are tied. Yeah, I was going to say, which is more likely? Don't know. Welcome in, guys. Again, we're going through all this action. We already talked Colts, Texans in our last episode, so if that's what you're interested in, it's all the way there in our video tab. All you have to do is click on that. You can find that real easy. So we're going to start today. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, another team. I should have listened to you. Should have listened to you. I went against my better judgment and said, you know what? Atlanta's won 2 games back-to-back against impressive opponents. Surely they can handle the 3-7 Buccaneers.
And I went the complete opposite, and I said, they won 2 games in a row. They're not a good enough team to win 3. That's why we'll not go for them.
Oh, tough loss for me in this one, but I'll say this. Going into the offseason, does this win ultimately help the Buccaneers against the Falcons, or is this something that might set the franchise back now? Because now you're talking about having a deeper first-round pick. Or do you subscribe to the mentality of, hey, we like to win games? Because a lot of coaches say that. Even if you've got 2 wins, we don't care about the draft pick. We want to establish a culture that we want to win games.
Yes, I think that is more the priority at this point. But how's the best way for me to put it? Not every great quarterback comes in the first 3 picks.
Sure. But a lot
now,
of them do.
Right.
Yes.
But now, as the way college is developing their quarterbacks, the way the NFL is looking at quarterbacks, you're getting a lot of starting talent out of college right out the bat. Now, the problem is they pan out or not. That's the question. But let's just say they pick it 15, 10, anywhere around there. I mean, there's going to be a starting option at quarterback for them to pick, if that's what they choose to do.
Right. And all I have to say is, how many times can we say that we're disappointed in the Falcons and what they've done this year? This is just another one on the list, right? I can't keep beating the dead horse. We've said that about the Falcons week in and week out. I still decided to take them, even though I've liked what the Buccaneers have done. I just felt like the rhythm was there for Atlanta. They were playing better football, everything else. They should be able to pass on this Buccaneers, but to their credit, the Buccaneers did a good job of bottling up Matt Ryan. He threw the ball 46 times, 270 yards, only an interception, no touchdowns. For a secondary that's been as bad as the Buccaneers have been at times, this is a pretty good performance.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ian says the Steelers are back in 6th seed. Told you Hodge was the way to go at quarterback. Just throwing that out there. But I don't want to jump to that game, but how impressive of a win was that?
No, there goes the internet again. Nope. We're back. All right, we're still going.
All right.
A little bit of a hiccup, but we're still going, I think.
Guys, let us know if we're still there.
I'm going to come out and go back in too, but that's okay. We'll keep talking. Just in case, I hope you can still see and hear us. Apparently you still can, because I'm looking at it right here. But I'll say this about the Steelers. Last thing before, not to jump the gun like you said, impressive win. Switching the quarterback was the right call. I can't believe people are talking about getting rid of Mike Tomlin. Absolutely ridiculous. To have this many wins for the Steelers this late, with your Big Ben having missed almost the entire season, massive, massive win for them.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of hopefully let some more people get in here, because I did want to say welcome back to one of our people in our community. I know Ian was on Facebook jail. Don't really want to know what you did there, but I did want to welcome you back and welcome your comments and all that kind of good stuff.
And Sharif says, dude, how about them Titans? And all I can say, Sharif, is finally a complete team win out of my team. I even spared your ears by leaning away from the microphone. Oh, it was a great game. Well, we'll talk about them later. Again, we won't jump the gun. I want to talk about my team, but first we got to talk about teams like the Broncos and Bills. I see it, but we haven't dropped any frames yet.
All right, guys. Hopefully it's going to keep on rolling for us. I hope it's not one of those days. Dustin says, I did not expect the Cowboys to win today. That game was pretty much exactly what he thought it would be. Those 2 tripping calls, the last one specific. I can't say that word as much.
Specifically.
As much as I tried my whole life, I cannot say that word right. Were the worst ones I've seen at very convenient times. Yes, you're right, Dustin. And to be honest with you, man,
all right, we'll restart it.
That doesn't
because I think it's on Facebook. OBS is telling me we're good. We'll restart. We'll be right back.
We're good here. We still have 7.
I see 2 on my screen.
But on mine, I'm good. And Andrew just commented. I think we're good.
Justin's saying we're frozen too, but that's okay. We can keep going. Good to see you, Justin. I know you got a big Packers game going here tonight. Hope you can still see us. Again, I'm saying I'm stuck. I think it's on Facebook's end, but
dude, look, like I'm just saying, like we're still rolling here. We're getting likes. What's up, George? Good to see you. Andrew says, still not getting in the end zone. Lose 12-13 instead. And he was believing that drive where that tripping call did push him back, that they were going to hold him back.
I just don't want to hear anything from the Patriots fans saying the NFL hates us, because that penalty was absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that they let that kind of stand under the 2 minutes, and they didn't go back and look at it, and New York didn't call them and say, hey guys, maybe wave this one off, maybe let him go. Just too much, man. Again, the Patriots got incredibly lucky today. I think the Cowboys had enough momentum that they had the shot, and at the very least, that call comes in and kind of puts all that to bed. I think it was a bad call going forward on 4th and 11 when the Patriots offense is stalled the way it has. I think the turnover on downs deflated the defense. If you punt that away, I think the defense kind of musters a stop, and then you're talking about having about a minute left, no timeouts, and trying to go for a touchdown.
Thank you, Devin, for letting us know that we're going. Ian, I see you're back in here. I did welcome you back from Facebook jail. I just want you to know that we're glad you're back. Perry says, guess what? Redskins aren't eliminated from the playoffs yet.
Mathematically, no. Technically, no.
It's the run we all want to see, right?
Just keep that fire burning. That's all I can say. Especially in the NFC. Yeah, they're going to run down the Vikings. They're going to run down the Seahawks. Those teams need to lose out statistically, and they need to win out. It's going to be a magical run. But when it happens, would it be a bigger kind of comeback story than someone like Leicester City winning the Premier League?
It would be huge.
I love that it's playing an ad over us, too. Facebook is great, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
like I said, OBS has said we have not dropped a single frame. So, now we have, but just 106.
Hey, guys, we apologize for any of this inconvenience. We're just trying to do best we can with terrible technology.
And again, if you want to take this opportunity to go like us on Twitter or Periscope, you can watch us there. I don't see any problems on that end either. I think this might be more Facebook's end, or our communication with Facebook's end. But we appreciate you coming in. We'll get back to it, and we'll keep talking for as long as we can, right?
Yeah, I don't want to skip any of these games, but we got a couple more comments. Dustin says, Dallas should have went for it on 4th and 7 instead of kicking that field goal. Jason Garrett needs to go. I think he is the 9%. I think he said 99% of the problem. The Pats get the right calls at the right times. That's something we're all kind of used to at this point, Dustin. You know, those favored teams seem to always have those calls. It's just what it is. I mean,
you also have to respond in the right way and not go for it on 4th and 11. How often do you convert a 4th and 11? How often does anyone convert a 4th and 11? Like 10% of the time?
If the ground can catch, that was a catch.
Yeah, and you're just going to... And again, he came close. Yeah, I know Amari Cooper dropped it, but still, I think it's one of those setups that you can't go for it on 4th and 11 when you have all 3 timeouts. If you were down timeouts, we can talk about it. But with all 3 timeouts, you have to go for it. There's almost no reason, I think, to actually try and convert when you could just punt away and stop a team that scored 13 points all day long. And it took a special teams turnover to get them into position to score some of those points.
Jeremy, good to see you. He says Periscope is so much better. Andrew says the worst call of the day was the reversal of the pass interference on OBJ, which, by the way, this is one of the... I think it's either first or second week that pass interference call was reversed on the call on the field this week. Twice did that happen.
Yeah. Well, it's happened twice this week, happened one time beforehand. So this will be the third time, yeah.
Well, no, I mean like twice in 1 week is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm with you. We'll go back to talking about the Broncos and Bills. Are you ready to get back on track? We got some more comments? It's whatever you want to do.
No, let's go. Let's get...
I'm still reeling. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's going on over here at tech side, but that's okay. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about.
Well, I think for the most part, we kind of knocked out the Bucs and the Falcons. I don't think either of us see one of these teams making a run in the playoffs. I mean, it's at this point it's just kind of fighting for your coach. I mean,
fighting for your coach, fighting for your draft pick. Yeah. Pick one that you want to have. Do you want the draft pick or do you want the coach?
Let's go on to the next game where the Broncos went on the road to go against the Buffalo Bills. Dude, This was a snooze fest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Buffalo's quietly sneaking up to 8-3, still on the Patriots' heels. I'm sure they were waiting for the Cowboys to do them a favor here. Also, holding on to that 5th spot, just a lock in the AFC. Now, all of a sudden, there's one wild card to fight for because the Bills have played as good as they have and are winning games like this. I know I said I thought about taking the Broncos, but, man, does Brandon Allen look like he's a starting quarterback in the NFL?
I'm telling you he's going to play just as good.
82 yards.
I'm just telling you he's going to play just as good to keep himself there. I'm telling you.
Well, it wasn't in this game. And I'll say this. Singletary had a great game. 21 carries, 106 yards against this Denver defense. That's what you want to see, especially out of a defense that's better rushing the pass than they are at defending the run. Again, not a whole lot of impressions out of this one. Josh Allen, 185 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not the game to write home to mom about, but not a terrible performance either. It was enough to beat a team that...
They're both decent teams on the defensive side of the ball. Both of these teams are.
Right.
Definitely the Bills over the Broncos, but I thought that's what scares me about this Bills team, and I know we got some Bills fans out there. You're going to be in the playoffs. What offense are you going to get in the playoffs? Because this defense, as well as it's playing, I don't think it's going to be able to hold teams to 83 yards passing. Because they're going to face teams like the Chiefs or whoever else can pull themselves into a wild card position or that bottom 3 or 3rd and 4th spot. I mean, it's these are all going to be offenses that can put up points.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. As for the Broncos, kind of like those other 2 teams, we said this a lot about these first few matchups. They are not premier games that you want to be looking at and saying, wow, hey, massive matchup. There's a reason you're playing these at 1 o'clock and everything else. I just think when you look at the Broncos, they've had a little bit of fight. Even though this game finished 20-3, this is a 7-3 team going into this matchup that they hung with. They were semi within range, and it wasn't great, but they were never more than 2 scores away until the very end. So I don't know. I look at the Broncos and I'm like, they definitely need a lot more help. But I do like that they're kind of turning the defense. They're not just rolling over. This wasn't 37-0 where the Bills just ran all over them either.
A couple more comments here. Dustin says, Frank Gore moved into the 3rd of all time on the rushing list. Such an impressive career.
Better than Barry Sanders,
Such
right?
A great professional.
He passed him. And you're the longevity guy, right? You got to be healthy every year.
Yeah, just took him a lot more games.
Yeah. But he was there for those games.
He was.
How important is that?
Oh, Gore's a stud.
Absolutely. I think he's a great running back. This is a great stat. And a guy, if anyone deserves it, for the amount of beating that Frank Gore has taken across his career for all the handoffs and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't pretty, but we got there. I mean, it was pretty at some points, but I don't know. There were a lot of handoffs to get those 15,000 and change rushing yards.
Yeah, no. Not only that, he was a great presence in the locker room. Coaches speak highly of him about how he was towards his other teammates and how he took the game as a profession. He's definitely a stud. Dustin also says that the NFC East will come down to the final week of the season between Philly and Dallas, winner take all. Do you think? I like to believe that the Dallas Cowboys are, even though they lost today, they're still a good team, right? Is Philly a good enough team to stay that close to Dallas throughout the rest of this week, the rest of this season?
Well, it was fortunate Dallas lost this game. If they would have won, I would have said game over. I would have said losing this one to the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks are a great team, the way that they lost and the way the offense has stalled these past couple weeks against tough opponents, I would have said the Eagles are probably dead in the water. But because the Cowboys lost, if the Eagles can figure out the offense, they'll make it work. Right now, this offense looks broken. I mean, there were chances that this defense gave them. The secondary played an amazing game against Russell Wilson. They took him out of it.
Yeah.
And still, the Eagles could not put more points than 9. I mean, they had 3 going into the final drive, Drew.
Yeah, no doubt. Ian says, is Gore a Hall of Famer? No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 3rd all-time in rushing,
yeah,
and you played that many snaps, yeah, he's got to be a Hall of Famer. Is he first ballot? I don't know. There's a lot of quarterbacks that need to go in here soon. There's a lot of great players. The NFL has such a backlog, he probably won't be a first ballot.
Depends on when he retires and who else is retiring with him.
And let's say he gets another 1,000 yards, it moves up another spot on the list. I mean, if he's behind Emmitt Smith, first ballot?
Probably.
Yeah. I think if he gets to that next level, he goes automatically first ballot.
So just real quickly, he retires, but the same year, Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, and Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Then I don't really know if he's a first ballot at that point.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing.
You got those other careers that have rings behind it, and Adrian Peterson, of course, the way he took the field and took the league by storm.
Right.
I mean, it's that
and
would
the
be,
2,000 rushing yards from
right.
scrimmage, or
that would be
the scrimmage
kind of
yards
where
and
I
everything
don't know
else.
if I can give him a first ballot.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely depends on who he retires with. I also think it depends on how many people are in that draft class, because again, or Hall of Fame class, because they have so many backlog players that need to get into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be tough for any running back, any non-quarterback to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Just with George comment, he said the Eagles need someone to catch the ball. No doubt. That is an issue. But you also need to keep Carson Wentz upright and in a clean pocket, which has been very much of a struggle.
And a lot of it's been Carson Wentz. He hasn't been looking good either. I don't know if it's the pressure getting to him. He has not been as clinical as we've seen Carson Wentz be in the past couple of years. Regardless of where you want to put the blame, you could say it's all of those things. I'm with you. They need guys to step up in the secondary. Again, they have Arcega-Whiteside. I'd like to see him play a little bit more. You're in the playoff race, but right now they're playing every receiver under the sun ahead of him, and he's still putting up numbers. He had 2 receptions for 43 yards today, and I didn't see him on the field a whole lot. So my point is, you've got this rookie. He's a huge target as well. Put him out there with the 2 tight ends and see what happens.
Yep, no doubt. Let's go to the next game. The New York Giants went on the road to face the Chicago Bears. What's your takeaway from this game? I mean, you saw Trubisky struggle.
We're talking about that a lot today. What's your takeaway from here?
You saw Daniel Jones struggle. You saw both run games not really get anywhere off the ground. I mean, you can't call the Giants a defensive powerhouse.
No.
You can't really call Chicago at this point a defensive powerhouse. Better defense, yes.
Yeah.
But not a team that's been shutting people out.
What I'm going to say is Daniel Jones, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Bears. I know it was only 150 yards, and I know Saquon Barkley struggled in this one. That's a win. For a young quarterback, there should be some interceptions in there when you're talking about playing the Bears. I think that's a win that he did control the ball well enough, and you stayed in this game. I think the Giants are showing that offensively, this kid, a couple years from now, when they retool on this defensive side of the ball and maybe add another weapon or two, is going to be scary.
Yeah, and let's not forget he's your guy.
And let's flip the script. I'm glad that this worked out because, again, I was like, not too crazy about him. But
Justin, good to see you. He says, go Pack, go. I'm actually excited for this game, but we'll get to it. I'm just excited for this game. I think it's going to be a good game.
I do too, and I'm not even sure which way I'm going yet. I haven't decided.
Me neither.
I'm going to quietly look at the injury report before the game starts.
I'm going to quietly just jump into the game and watch it.
Yeah. Oh, 49ers scored 17. Going with them. Finally, for the Bears, what does it mean not beating up on the Giants like I expected them to? It's not good. I like Allen Robinson putting up 131 yards and a touchdown. Again, this guy has played with some of the worst quarterbacks maybe in NFL history when you look at his career. And football history. Going back to Penn State, you had Matt McGloin and what's his name? Christian Hackenberg as his starting quarterbacks at Penn State. Has anyone had it as tough as Allen Robinson's had it? Blake Bortles, Christian Hackenberg, Matt McGloin. Now Mitch Trubisky doesn't look very good. It's hard to find a guy that's played with worse quarterbacks and just put up the numbers Allen Robinson's put up.
I just want to go back to I said Daniel Jones didn't look that great. I do want to also say this. My point to it is he did put up, crazy amount of numbers. He did well, and he also did well with no run game.
Right.
I mean, Barkley didn't break 30 yards until late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he only finished with 70 on 19, 20 carries, something like that. I didn't write it down. It was so unimpressive.
Yeah, it really wasn't impressive.
And I'll say this against Mitch Trubisky. Again, 25 of 41, 278. Sounds good, but when you're talking about throwing 2 picks to a Giants secondary that most teams have been able to handle, I'm still in the camp of don't replace him yet, but man, this is not like the stamp on the resume where like Sam Darnold we see sometimes that you say we can't replace him because we've seen some spark. This is the game I should have saw some spark and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, no doubt. Andrew has a comment here. He says, is Wentz making Trubisky-like mistakes, reads, and decisions?
Well, I think Wentz is under significantly or equal pressure, maybe even more pressure, and I think he's missing a lot of his weapons.
A lot less weapons, yeah.
Yeah, especially with Alshon Jeffrey out. I mean, Aguilar didn't play today either. I don't know. Again, Wentz has been regressing, but not at the level Mitch Trubisky has. Not even close. And even though he's got the tight ends, it's tough running 2 tight end sets in the NFL and having a ton of success week in and week out. Unless the last team to do it was the Patriots. And I like Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, but are they as good as Gronkowski and Hernandez were? Probably not, right? You're not going to take either of those guys. You got to pick one, Drew. You're taking the Patriots, right?
Right, yeah. I don't want to jump all these games, but, I mean, I have a question for the Eagles, and I just don't want to forget it as we go along. And I got my ideas, but when you look at this team and you look at how they're succeeding in the sense of they're not 0-8, they're not 0-11. You know what I mean? They're winning games, and they're also doing it with 0 weapons, a terrible secondary, an offensive line that's just leaking like a sieve. when it comes to draft and when it comes to free agency, what do you think is the most glaring hole at this time? Because you look at some of these
secondary.
Games, I mean, you look at some of these games like maybe like today, where it's like, man, if Carson Wentz had someone that could catch the ball besides Ertz, where does this team go? Or you've seen also where games are like, man, if you had someone in the secondary that can stop somebody on the other side of the ball, where does this go? Or
first off,
you bring in someone like Quentin Nelson, and it changes the whole atmosphere of that offensive line.
First off, you're stealing our offseason content, because when we get to the draft and we're talking about all these receivers, we'd be like, Philly does not need to draft a first-round wide receiver when you're talking about there being 15 guys in the top 100 that deserve a high grade. But, again, we'll talk about that later. There are a bunch of wide receivers in this draft coming up. They're going to have their opportunity to take one or two of them. What I will say that their first and biggest need, I think, is secondary. When you look at the way teams have passed, they were good today. They shut Russell Wilson down. But being good for one game usually isn't enough. They have been atrocious most weeks in the NFL. I think when you look at Philadelphia, they've got to fix the back end of that defense. And at the very least, they'll be good on defense, because that front seven's still pretty good.
Yeah. And this was a question to you guys as well, and Andrew goes right off and answers it. He says running back.
Well, you got Miles Sanders. You just spent a draft pick on him. You got Jordan Howard. Even though he's banged up, you've got Jordan Howard. I still think they're okay at running back. And again, it's a commodity position. If the offensive line gets a lot better, your running backs will look better too. And then everyone will say, look how good Jordan Howard is again. Look how good Miles Sanders is. It's kind of like what we're seeing in Oakland.
Yeah.
They took Josh Jacobs. The offensive line was much improved in the offseason. They're run blocking better, and everyone's like, this guy's a stud. And we talked about this before the last show, I think running the ball is 40% scheme, 40% offensive line, and 20% running back skill. If you have Trent Richardson, that can mess everything up. But short of that, as long as you get a guy that's semi-competent, you put a great offensive line out there, and you put it together a great scheme where it's not going to be that big of a deal, you're going to be able to run the ball with just about anybody in the NFL.
I'll give you this last comment before we move on to the next game, Andrew, is at some point in time they will be taking a running back. The retirement of Darren Sproles, the way Howard isn't staying healthy, things like this will push them into bringing either a free agent in or
and we saw a Ajayi return today from that ACL injury. I don't know. Again, they have a lot of guys that used to be somebody's. And I don't know that they're going to be really focused on running back, and we're talking about offensive line and secondary and receiver and just about everything else that they could probably go and address before running back.
7 draft picks, you might be able to pick up one.
Maybe in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah.
I just don't expect this to be a 3rd-round pick.
Rob, good to see you. He says, what's up? And he says, go Pack, go. All right, let's get to the
Packers fans out here in force tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Good luck tonight. That's all I can say. Good luck to the Packers. We don't have a dog in the fight.
No.
I just hope it's a good game for our perspective. But, hey, if you're rooting for them, good luck to you.
Let's get back into the games. We've kind of already touched this a little bit. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers go on the road against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a giant snooze fest, and then Hodge came in, the quarterback that both of us, I don't want to speak for you, agree that this is the guy that should have been starting besides Mason Rudolph. Create a spark in this offense.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't through the roof, but there was a lot more excitement behind him at quarterback.
Well, he came in, threw the ball 11 times, only 5 of them complete, but it was 118 yards and a touchdown. It's what they needed. They needed that spark, changing it over, because, again, how embarrassing would it be? You're in the middle of the playoff race. Even beyond embarrassing, how crippling will it be to lose to the Bengals, who, even though they're a division rival, don't have a win yet, and you're supposedly a playoff team? I think this is a great move by Mike Tomlin. Mason Rudolph's been in the news a lot here. The easy thing to do would be leave him out there and see if he can pull it off, because you don't want the guy to... All the criticism's going to come in this week during the offseason where everyone's talking about, oh, Mason Rudolph, blew it when we were talking about going up against Cincinnati. Hodges had to come in to save this game. The easy thing would have been to leave him in there. But Tomlin said, I don't care about the easy thing. We're here to win football games. Put Hodges in. We need a spark. And he gave it to him.
Yeah, he did. Ian says, Steelers D is why they have 6 wins, but excited for the quack attack. Next week, the Steelers need to show the Brown Stains how to win with class and dignity.
We're going to talk about that in just a second, because, again, I've got some pretty strong feelings about the Browns for a game that probably shouldn't really hit the radar too much, but we'll talk about that too. Final thoughts. Does it suck for the Bengals? You thought you had one? You thought you had them.
I don't know, man.
You let them off the hook.
I don't want to sit there and just trash the Bengals. I don't want to trash any team, really.
Finley was good against a bad defense. The completion percentage wasn't there. But
are they really trying to win games?
Almost 200 yards. They were trying to win today. I know that. They almost pulled it off. It took a last,
do you really felt like
comeback win for Hodges coming in off the bench?
I think the owner was like, hey.
Yeah. Let him have this one. No. I in division, no, I really don't. I think they're also looking at it like, well, the Dolphins have won 2. The Redskins, they won today. Maybe they didn't know that at the time, but they knew they had won. They're like, we got a cushion. I think we need to win. Regardless of anything, let's win one before we get out of here, because nobody wants to be 0-16.
Right.
That's how coaches lose their jobs. Nobody wants to be 0-16. They got to at least grab one before the end of the year.
All right, let's go in the game.
Dolphins, Browns. Okay, can I get on the soapbox here?
Sure.
The Browns are trash. And I know what you're going to say. What are you talking about? They won 41-24 today. And the reason I'm going to go in on the Browns here is because in the parking lot at the game, they were smashing Mason Rudolph piñatas with football helmets. Classless fan base, okay? At no point when your guy clubs someone's unhelmeted head with a helmet can you say, hey, we were in the right, or we want to show support, or we want to condone this. You could be like, hey, we messed up, man. We're sorry. We messed up. We're the right fan base. That's number one. Number two, John Dorsey coming out saying you can't question Myles Garrett and his unwavering integrity. This dude just clubbed someone over the bare head with a helmet. He doesn't have any integrity, okay? I don't care what he said. I know they said racial slurs and all this stuff. I don't care. I don't care what he said. You can't go and hit somebody in the unhelmeted head with a helmet and have unquestioned integrity. That doesn't exist. So your GM is trash. Your fan base is classless and trashy for doing this kind of shit. And it's not every Browns fan. I know that. But there's a good chunk of them that are like, hey, we're supporting Myles Garrett. On top of that, the owner's wife, Dee Haslam, coming out there wearing the 95 hat this week, showing support after the indefinite suspension's held up. Again, at what point are you like, hey, look, our guy messed up and we're sorry about that? I'm not going to go out there and be like, oh, I support Myles Garrett. There's nothing to support. You club somebody's unhelmeted head with a deadly weapon. There's nothing to support here. The Browns ownership group is trash. Their GM they hired a trashy GM, so I'm glad that fits. How did they do this? Everyone was rooting for the Browns. It was the feel-good story, and I'm going to let you talk here in just a second. I promise, Drew. It was the feel-good story of the offseason. Everyone who was not in the AFC North or a fan of the AFC North teams were saying, man, it would be cool to see the Browns bounce back and have a great season. How do we go from that to now we're supporting Myles Garrett after he just clubbed a quarterback over the head with his own helmet? How do we get here? It's like they want to be the heel in wrestling. They want to be the guy everybody hates. It's from Baker Mayfield antagonizing the media all the time to Odell Beckham saying, I don't care about the NFL dress code. I want to wear this big gaudy watch so I can sit there and cut people when I get into the pile and everything else. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? I mean, as a team, they're just an embarrassment. I hope the Browns lose every other game. I hope they go back to being a 1-2 win team for the rest of for the next 10 years until the Haslams sell the team. Because I'll be honest with you, and I know I see the comments rolling in. I want to get to this. You should be embarrassed for the Browns for everything that we've seen. You should be embarrassed for what we've seen for what we've put out this past week. Because the easy thing and the right thing to do is to come out and be like, look, I like Myles Garrett, but he messed up here, and we're sorry about that. Our team should never be hitting an unhelmeted player over the head. Instead, they're doubling down. And they're like, this is on Mason Rudolph, and we're embracing this. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I hope they lose every other game for the rest of the season.
Sean, good to see you. Damon, good to see you as well. Bees, always glad you're here, man. Ian and Sean are completely with you. They're saying 100%, but I do want to get to Damon's comment real quick. He says, who do you all think has a better chance of returning to the NFL, AB or Kaepernick? Before you answer this, neither.
AB, but yeah.
I don't think either one of them are going to be back. But if I had to choose one, it'd be Antonio Brown, no doubt.
Yeah, again, the NFL kind of gave Kaepernick that last chance comeback. Hey, we'll give you this workout for the teams, and then he pulled the old switcheroo on him with like no time to go. I think when that happened, there were probably a lot of owners that were like, look, if I can't even count on you to be a team player here, you're really not interested in having a job in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least Antonio Brown told the Patriots, like, hey, man, look, I know there was a lot of drama, and I'm sorry for that.
About this game, I don't really have a whole lot to go into about it. I kind of knew the Browns were going to blow up offensively. I thought the writing was on the wall. I'm just mad at myself that I didn't start Jarvis Landry on fantasy.
Somebody did.
That's the
finally paid off.
I knew they were going to put up points against this team. I honestly did. Everything was just pointing to we're going to do well this game. What really surprised me is the poor start the Dolphins did, because if you look at all these games the Dolphins were in, they had a surge in the beginning of the game and died off at the end. At this point, it was dead at the beginning and had a surge at the end. I see Ian's comment. He says Fitzpatrick is single-handedly messing up the Dolphins' pick in the draft. Do you
you want to win. It's already somewhat messed up.
Right. So
Yeah.
so
And they've got a lot of them too. You know who's messing up their picks? The Steelers and the Bears. Or no, I'm sorry, the Steelers and who's the other?
I don't really think they're doing anything messing
The
it
Texans.
up, man.
Yeah,
I think
Texans.
they're just trying to win games, and I honestly can't blame them. They're playing for their coach, they're playing for their careers, and they're doing it off of a very talentless team. And to be honest, the fact that they are in any game against the rest of this NFL teams is kind of just impressive. It really honestly is. This game was a little bit of an outlier. It kind of goes back to more closer to what they were doing at the beginning of the year, but these couple of games these last weeks are really impressive to me for the Dolphins.
Rob says both Kaepernick and Antonio Brown can try the XFL, but they're not going to play for that kind of pay because, again, I think most people are going to make like, what, 100 grand, 150 grand here? Somehow I don't think either one of those guys are going to be too interested in playing football with a lot of guys that are going to have targets on them for that kind of money. So I think it's NFL or bust for both of them, but I get what you're saying.
We're dealing with some more technical issue, guys. Just bear with us as we keep rolling through. Ray says, "Ooh, kind of harsh, but he's got a point on the Browns." A lot of people agreeing with you, man. A lot of people agreeing with you.
It's harsh, but at what point do you just roll with it? Again, they could have come out and just played hard, and everyone would have been on their side. How many people were picking them to win Super Bowls and saying, man, it'd be cool to see the Browns win some games because we've seen them be in the tank for so long, but again, how do you take that and without anybody asking you to do it, ruin it? I mean, I don't know. Again, I've already said my piece. I won't go back to it. I'm with you, though. The Browns...
Let's go in the next game, then.
Trash.
Let's go in the game that really surprised me. This Carolina Panthers go on the road to play the Saints in New Orleans, a tough place to play. Everyone knows that. I don't even know how to express it the right way, but the way the Carolina Panthers played this game, the way Kyle Allen, with all the naysayers, and you were one of them, and I agree.
Well, I said this is what you need to see,
and I was one of them. I was agreeing with you, but this is it, right? I mean, this is exactly what you was asking of him.
Right.
Here's a tough defense. Here's a division rival. Go out there and prove us wrong. Go out there and prove why you deserve to be the starting quarterback over Cam Newton. The reason why the Carolina Panthers should not be looking for a draft pick of a quarterback in next year's draft. Is this right here something, even though they lost, but honestly, a crazy end to a game?
Yeah.
Is this what you needed?
Look, I'm happy with it. It's not exactly what you needed when you talk about the Vikings having 8 wins and the Seahawks now, 9-2 for the Seahawks? Those are the wild cards you're going to need to be in. The 49ers only have 1 loss. The Packers are all the way up at the top with 1 or 2 losses. They needed to win this game. That's what they needed. But, kind of like I said, even if you don't, you want to see Kyle Allen play better in this one, and he did. And it's exactly what we wanted to see. You wanted to get it back under control, and Kyle Allen 100% did that against a great defense, even though they didn't light the world on fire offensively. I mean, Christian McCaffrey kind of got bottled up on the ground, even though he put up 60 yards on the ground, he put up 60 yards through the air, and he had a couple touchdowns. DJ Moore had a great game here.
Yeah.
You saw passing to someone not named Christian McCaffrey. I think that's a step in the right direction for the Panthers.
Though you saw him too.
Yeah, you did. You did. And you're always going to, right? Until the wheels fall off, they're going to Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
But I'm glad they got DJ Moore involved here. He had like 130 yards through the air. I know they lost, but I think the Panthers should be happy with this kind of performance because you're going to say most weeks, that's good enough to win, number one. And number two, this is the kind of play, like you said, we need to see out of our quarterback to believe in him going forward.
Right. This is definitely not the game the Carolina Panthers wanted because they wanted a W. But my question to you is about Kyle Allen, not the team.
And George says, who dat? What a game. I absolutely agree, man. When it was 31-31, I was sweating it. I was like, oh, man, I hope we get this right. Even though we were both on the Saints and so was the show in the offseason, we were like, this is a better game than I expected to see, number one. And number two, it was fantastic. I was hoping our pick was going to like kind of stick out so we can show off at the end of the year. And we're like, look how smart we are, and we got everything right.
Great game. Both teams played absolutely. I know their defenses kind of got tore up, but I wouldn't take anything away from either one of these teams. It was a great game. And to be honest, it's always, in my opinion, the best team wins. And even if the Carolina Panthers probably deserved a victory there because of the way they came back and fought diversity in this game, the better team won the Saints, and it is what it is.
Yes, I agree. They fought adversity, not diversity. But
what
yeah, I know. That's what you meant.
I don't know English, so...
Real quick, Sean says, Drew, where are the Buffalo Bills going to finish as a placing, and do you think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Look, Drew and I have kind of been pretty forward saying that we don't believe in the way the Bills are playing long term, but we can't argue that they're winning games, right?
Yeah.
Right now they're behind the Patriots. It looks like they're going to be the 5th seed in the AFC going into the playoffs, and we don't know how far they get in that 5th seed because they're not blowing anybody out, but they're winning games, and sometimes that's enough.
And that's a tough position to be in too. The 5th seed plays the 4th seed?
Right. 5 plays 4 on the road week 1.
I'm trying to think who would that be right now.
Probably whatever AFC South team.
Colts?
Texans, because they won Thursday.
I meant Texans, yeah.
At the moment. But again, you got Titans, Colts, and Texans all within a game of each other. Titans still play the Texans twice at the end of the year. I think Indy's played them twice, so they're done. But
to be honest with you, Sean, and I said a little bit before, this offense scares me. You want to see this team start to put up 30 consecutive points game after game after game, while they're holding their opponents back. An 8-3 season so far is very impressive, but when you see that offense put up, how much points they put up this game, what was it? Hey, I'm listening to you. I'm asking you a question.
Sorry,
I forgot what was the point total?
20 in this game for the Bills.
And so you want to see more than that, because if you face anyone like, let's just say the Ravens or the Chiefs, 20 points does not win a game against these teams, especially in the playoffs. I guess it all depends on matchup, Sean. You asked me how far they can get. Can they win a Super Bowl? Maybe if everything lined up and that offense somehow clicks. But I think it's a long shot, man. I really honestly do.
Damian says Mason Rudolph should have gotten 4 to 5 game suspension. What he did was way worse than what Garrett did. And he said, yeah, I mean, what Myles Garrett did was not the right thing to do. But damn it, what Mason did was way more stupid and very disrespectful, pulling the helmet and saying racial things and kicking him in the manhood. Come on. First off, again, we went over this a lot, Damian, but I'll go over it again. The guy who initiated all this crap was Myles Garrett with a supremely late hit on Myles Garrett after the game was over.
Oh, on Mason Rudolph.
On Mason Rudolph, I'm sorry. Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph way after the play was over, like he's done all year long. Dirty player makes a dirty play and upsets Mason Rudolph. He elevated it, trying to rip off Garrett's helmet, and yes, he kicked him in the junk. I get that. You're right. That was wrong of him. Garrett then took it to the next level, ripped his helmet off, and if that's where it stopped, I'd say, you know what? Myles Garrett did what he needed to do, right? He won the fight. He pulled the helmet off. He said, I win, everything else. Instead, after all that, first, I'll talk about the racial thing in just a second. But first, when a guy, I don't care that Mason Rudolph's getting up in his face again. When you swing that helmet, not only at an unhelmeted head, even if someone's wearing a helmet and you're swinging a helmet at a guy like it's a club, you just took that 20 steps in the wrong direction. This is all on you. There is nothing he could say to you. I don't care what it is. There's nothing he could say to you that you're swinging that at anyone, especially not wearing a helmet, but even wearing one, you're not doing that. That's 100% on Myles Garrett. As for the racial thing, Myles Garrett never said anything about that after the game. We never heard about it. That came up a week after when he was talking to the NFL and trying to justify what he did. Not only that, the NFL said we found no proof that any of that went on. With all the parabolic microphones they have, they heard no. That has never been corroborated. So to say that Mason Rudolph did it, I think you can't just assume he did. You have to assume he didn't. You have to give him the benefit of the doubt here because he said he didn't say anything. I think when you look at this, even if he did, you don't club someone over the unhelmeted head with a helmet. Myles Garrett, has been in the wrong both from the beginning on this play and at the very end, and he's been way, way off. I just don't like that take, man. As for him being suspended, if you want to throw a 1 or 2 game suspension at Mason Rudolph, I would understand it. But you cannot tell me that what Myles Garrett did versus what Mason Rudolph did, that it warranted that level of response from Myles Garrett. You just can't do it. In fact, I was okay with the Steelers stomping on him when he was on the ground. Because when you do that to any one of my players, and we're supposed to be a team and we're supposed to be a brotherhood, at that point, you're the enemy. And I don't mind you getting stomped on. I really don't. So, I don't love that take. And you may be a Browns fan, man, and maybe you're just sticking up for your guy. But there comes a point in time where even Browns fans need to be like, nah, our guy way overreacted.
What's up, Matthew? Glad you can join us. I do want to say,
What up, Drew? What am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, you are.
Hi, Matthew. Right, good to see you, man.
Right now you are. No, I'm just kidding. All I got to say is I'm kicking him in the crotch if Myles Garrett fights me. So, Mason Rudolph,
well, even more than that,
blame you.
The dude hits you late, drags you to the ground late, lays on top of you for 5 minutes. Yeah, you're upset.
My point is I'm kicking a guy that's a lot bigger than me in the crotch because I'm winning this fight, or at least I'm going to hurt him before I get hurt.
I got you. And Damian, I'm not trying to call you out, man, but I just there's no excuse for anyone defending Myles Garrett. He took it too far. And I get where you're coming from. Again, we wouldn't stand a whole lot of chance against him either. We'd be looking for Pounces to come in and break that shit up.
I'm using everything in by close proximity to hit him in the crotch.
And we're asking DeCastro to come save us, too. Guys, get this dude off of me. I'm with you there. Okay. And Ray says, sorry, guys, but his Packers are on. He'll bounce. But I get that. We, again, are on replay if you ever want to hear what we're going to talk about. We understand we're going to try to get through it. We usually do a little bit better than this, but we got to keep going, Drew. You ready to keep rolling? We appreciate all the comments, guys. Also, Ian says, I'm finally the voice of reason here. Finally. I feel like I have been for a while. Come on, Ian.
Whoa. How am I not the voice of reason?
Because you haven't been killing Myles Garrett like I have, even though you've said it was ridiculous, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't even want to talk about it. I wish it never even happened on the field. I wish it would have happened like outside the stadium. He like came up to him and hit him with a brick inside the head. And I'd be like, well, that's what millionaires do when they're
Some things happen. Yeah. All right. We'll move on. We'll talk about the Raiders and the Jets. Again, what a huge wasted opportunity for the Jets.
This took a lot.
I'm sorry, for the Raiders.
This
for the
took
Raiders.
a lot.
Just
took
great.
a lot in me. A lot in me to not go on my soapbox on social media, go live on Sports Around the Bar, and just sit there and just
talk about how great the Raiders are.
Diss the Raiders, because that's all we've been getting from Raiders fans. As a Chiefs fan, I got a lot of friends that are Raiders fans. Love all of them. They're great people. But just the nonstop, oh, we're tied for first. We're the best in the West. Well, guess what? The Chiefs don't lose. They don't lose to the Jets 34-3. They don't do that.
Sam Darnold coming out against another weaker defense that needs help in the secondary and looking good in this one. That's my big takeaway here. 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 of 29. It's what I want my young and up-and-coming quarterback with no weapons to do in this kind of game. He looked better than Derek Carr did. And Derek Carr got benched in this one. And I get it. You're way behind. You want to keep him healthy because you're in the playoff race. I don't mind sitting him down, especially if he's having a bad day like Derek Carr was. But I don't know. Sam Darnold looked good. That's my best impression here. And it wasn't one guy. He didn't lean on someone like Jamison Crowder and throw him 150 yards. He spread the ball around. They didn't have a 100-yard receiver. This was everybody in this Jets offense who still aren't good enough, but everybody in this Jets offense getting involved by Sam Darnold and him just taking advantage of a defense where the holes were. That's what I want to see out of my quarterback. This is why you have faith that Sam Darnold could eventually turn into a great one.
I don't want to get back into it, but Damon, you're absolutely right. Everyone involved in that fight should have been suspended. You're 100% right. The fact that he went unscathed is quite impressive. Don't get back into it.
I won't. I would have been okay. I know. I'll go on forever, but let me say this. I'm actually okay with Rudolph getting away with it, and Pouncey, I think they were right to cut it down to 2.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So it's again, we could go into this forever. And we will on Tuesday if this is what you want to talk about
Absolutely.
still.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about Seahawks-Eagles. Do you have anything else to say about the Raiders? I know you want to kill them.
No,
I killed the Browns. If you want to kill them.
No, I honestly don't. It shows me that I don't think this team is as good as a lot of people think they are. I think this team has a lot of woes. Are they more impressive than what I thought they were at the beginning of the season to what they are now? Yes, they've shown a lot of integrity. They showed a lot of great draft picks, great knowing talent and knowing what kind of players they want. Give a lot of credit to Mike Mayock and John Gruden and the people they have brought in to create a great team not a great team, a team that could be great.
Right.
And I do think that is a upside, but they're not anywhere near ready like a lot of Raiders fans hope that they are.
But, again, we talk about expectations. This is a team that won 4 games last year. Right. And now they're in the playoff hunt. This is the kind of turnaround you want to see. And I'm not as high in the draft class as a lot of people are. I think Trayvon Mullen's been good.
I agree with you.
Hunter Renfro's been good.
And I'm agreeing with you. I did not think that they would make this much of a step. I still thought they were a year or so away.
I still don't. Again, I'm still not super in love with it. You got guys like Cleveland Farrell that are just average players at best, average rookies at best, when Josh Allen's tearing things up for Jacksonville, and that you could have had instead.
Yeah, but then you also found a Jim and Max, and that guy's playing out of his mind right now.
I understand that. And you've got Hunter Renfrow playing well, and we were both like, hey, that's a great pick in the 5th round, right? Yeah. You've got Trayvon Mullen playing better than I thought he would. You've got some upside in this draft class, but when you take that many picks, that's what you want to see too.
Right.
I think it's been a good draft class, and I think the Raiders will eventually get back to where they need to, even under Gruden. And with Mayock there, I think they're doing a good job of kind of restarting this franchise. It was a quicker turnaround than I was expecting. But today is that grain of salt where you're like, okay, things aren't exactly fixed. We're not the team that everyone's been talking about, and Raider fans want to tell you that we are. No. We're still needing a couple pieces before we're ready to compete at that top level in the NFL.
On to the next game. I know we kind of hit it a little earlier. I don't want to get too caught up in it. I'll give you this, and I don't remember who it was. It might have been Andrew that said that the secondary for the Eagles is playing better. But when you make Russell Wilson look average
Yeah.
on an MVP season, you're doing something right. If it's scheme, if it's now you're healthy, whatever it is, the Eagles should not hang their head on this loss. But this is a win that would have been great for the Eagles moving forward.
And they also took away the greatest receiver in the NFL, Tyler Lockett. Only one catch today for about 30 yards.
He was only targeted twice.
I know. And they took him away. Greatest wide receiver shut down by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Maybe if they targeted him 11 times, they would have won by 30.
Or maybe there'd be like 7 picks in there because he was blanketed. Because you don't just throw the guy the ball when he's totally covered. And I do think that was part of the problem. They were all over the Seattle receivers.
Darby is definitely their best corner.
And he's going to be a free agent. So you know who needs to pay him.
Kansas City.
Kansas City Chiefs. Exactly. So, again, the Eagles, great game today. They stepped up. Unfortunately, the offense couldn't do enough to get the win here. I know it finished with 9 points, but they had 3 almost all the way through the game. They had nothing going on offense. Part of it was the Seahawks defense playing well.
Yeah.
But part of it, too, is just the Eagles are not firing on offense. Their weapons don't seem to be incredibly committed. They need to reinvent what they're trying to do if they're going to have any hope of making the playoffs, in my opinion. They're going to have to do some creative stuff. Doug Peterson's going to have to figure some things out, and we're going to have to see some creative offense if they're going to keep up with the Cowboys, who almost beat the Patriots this week.
Yeah. And it says the Titans beat the Jags 42-20. What?
Well, can you believe that game?
Powerhouse.
Can you believe that game was 7-3 going into halftime? But first, we got to talk about Lions Redskins. Let's talk about this one, and then we'll talk about my team. I'm with you, Matt. I was like, man, isn't this great? And at no point, I told you, I was worried about this game.
How does it feel to have a team that scored 42 points in a game?
Is this what the Chiefs feel like all the time?
All
Man.
the time. All the time.
But it wasn't, because we played defense, too. I know they scored 20 points at the end, but it was 35-3 at one point, Drew. I was like, what if I would have told you going into this week, the two 3 o'clock games, one would finish 42-20 and the other would finish 13-9. Are you really telling me the Titans Jags is finishing 13-9 or 42-20?
You would think it'd be the 13-9 game, 100%. Ian says, putting down the pipe. It was just a pipe dream that Detroit was going to take the NFC North. Just think how 3 calls went against them early in the year, changed their whole season for the worst. Okay, Ian, I'll benefit you in the fact that the 3 calls
were bad
caused them losses, if you want to put it that route. But Matthew Stafford's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna tell me if he could play, he would be playing right now? I think he would be.
But I actually disagree with that. I think they shut him down. And I was the guy saying...
I think he's that hurt where they have to shut him down.
I don't. I think he's been playing with this broken back. They said he's been dealing with it since last season. I think he played through the pain while they had a chance. And as soon as they didn't, they said, okay, let's shut it down. It's the same thing I said when they traded Quandre Diggs. I think this team is giving up. And I think they said, okay, we've got 3 wins. We're going into week 8. The odds of us making the playoffs in this NFC where you got the Packers and the Vikings and the 49ers and the Seahawks all looking good isn't that great. And that's why we're seeing Jeff Driscoll now. I really do think this team has punted a little bit and said, look, we need to protect Matt Stafford. We need to get as many draft picks as we can. It's time to give up. I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, nobody wants to see their team give up. You always want the team to admit, yeah, we're still fighting for games and everything. But there's some value in not winning games in the NFL. Like, if you're going to suck, you might as well be the best one at it.
I disagree only because...
Unless you're going to prison.
I disagree only because Matthew Stafford he's a competitor. He wants to play. He wants to win. He wants to be out there with his team. And I get the team could shut him down. I get that.
Yeah. But they're also saying...
there is something medically wrong with him.
Yes.
And they're not...
But it's been medically wrong with him.
Is 6 wins enough for them to play an injured Matt Stafford, a hurt Matthew Stafford?
If you have 6 wins right now and you have like the outside hope of making the playoff, yeah, Matt Stafford's still playing. Because again, this has been all season long. If you listen to Lions, if you believe them, and I don't know that I do, but if you believe them, this has been an all season thing. And I think it just got to the point where they're like, okay, look, we're not going to make the playoffs. We want Matt Stafford to be our quarterback going forward. We need to protect him. If he does have this back injury that's supposedly related to a broken back, we have got to protect him, and that's why they shut him down. That's why you get to see Jeff Driscoll for the rest of the year.
Rob says he has nothing to say about his team or this season, but he will say this is a great show.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that, Rob. But again, I know it's a bad loss today. I think it helps. I am of the Moneyball mentality of, hey, let's go if we're going to be bad, let's go get the best draft pick we can to get the best player we can and upgrade our team that way.
I'll give you this. Bo Scarborough
looks better.
Looks a lot better.
You believe he was a 7th round pick?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's not the worst running back to ever come out of Alabama. That is
Do
Trent
you
Richardson
think
again.
that this success is a fluke?
No, I think they've kind of been recommitted to running the ball. I think the Redskins aren't as good of a defense
I
this
get that
year.
the defense is not having a problem stopping the run. But those defensive tackles that have actually practiced with and against Bo multiple times in
Sure.
their college career. I mean,
If they had Zach Brown, I get where you're coming here.
my point is, what did he break 100 yards? I had a.
It was just shy. I think it was
just
95,
shy.
96.
I had to turn it off and I go to a different game. So, I mean, he was right there. He was right on the cusp of the century mark. I mean, that is what every running back, when they touch the field every day,
That's the goal.
that's the goal. And he was just on the cusp. And he ended up with 19 carries, 18 carries?
Yeah, I think it was 16. But again, I didn't write it down because I was unimpressed. But I do think this is exactly what you're talking about. Bo Scarborough looked good. And if they still had Zach Brown,
What does it take you to be impressed? What? Well, you're.
Derrick Henry style
Yeah,
numbers,
is
I was
that-
impressed by that.
Did you wrote that down 3 times?
Yeah.
You only need it once, man.
I didn't. The afternoon games are on you. Did you write them down?
Yes.
No, but that's okay. Let's talk about this real quick. If they still had Zach Brown and they still had the linebacking core and they still had, what was the 49ers linebacker they cut for the domestic violence stuff even though he didn't deserve it? Can't think of what his name is. He was also an Alabama linebacker.
Tell
the
me
one
that
they cut.
one more time.
Alabama linebacker released by the Redskins for the domestic violence stuff that turned out to be a hoax.
Yeah.
They took him late. I know, the 49ers had him. Can't think. If they had those guys.
Bowman?
No, that's Navarro Bowman. Also, some character issue. No, that's not Navarro Bowman. That is Aldon Smith. Again, too many 49ers linebackers with domestic
Bowman?
assaults. Bowman retired early because he said, forget the 49ers. Remember, he was the Patrick Willis replacement. What we are talking about, though, is if the Redskins had great linebackers now, I would say this is a more impressive stat from Bo Scarborough. But again, defensive line is great.
Yeah.
You need linebackers to support the run stopping.
God, that's going to drive me nuts because I know exactly who you're talking about.
Reuben Foster.
Reuben Foster, there
Yes.
you go.
If they had Reuben Foster and Zach Brown, I would say this is much more impressive stat line. Again, the Redskins have shed linebacking talent like crazy this offseason, and now they're easier to run on. I know the D tackles are impressive and they can make impact plays at times, but you don't win just in the defensive line. There's a reason you have linebackers out there, and there's a reason they're paid at times as well. At the very least, though, Lions losing this game. Rob, I hope you're still watching this. It's a bad step from the standpoint of we want to believe in Matt Patricia being our head coach long term, but it's a good step in the thought of now we're going to have the better draft pick and we're going to be ahead of teams like the Buccaneers that now have 4 wins and the Jaguars that have 4 wins. We're going to be close to that top 5 number, and we don't need a quarterback. We might get Chase Young. We might get one of these offensive tackles that are absolute studs. We might get Jerry Jeudy and refresh this wide receiving core. There are so many guys out there that have top-level potential that being the first team or the second team to come off the board not needing a quarterback pays dividends. So, yeah, it's not all lost. I get where you're coming from. It sucks they lost, but it's not. This might be for the best long term.
Yeah, real quick, Sean, I'm a little confused about your question. He says he thinks the NFL teams need to say the names when they get ready to play football games. Sean, clear that up just a little bit for me, man. I do want to get to Ian's comment. He says Trent Richardson wants to be a Steeler. He says, yes, why not? Why not at this time?
Look, if you brought him
you got young running backs that could possibly be the
Right.
future of your organization, and Trent Richardson takes away playing time for these young players.
If you want to bring him in for a workout and just confirm that he's as bad as he is, I would say okay there. I mean, he even in the XFL, his yards per carry weren't fantastic. The guy has always had a vision problem, and when you played at Alabama and you're that much more dominant in the offensive line and you're just blowing everybody up, and it doesn't matter what direction the running back goes, the holes are always there. It doesn't matter. That doesn't happen in the NFL. Even the bad teams are going to restrict some running lanes against even the best run blocking teams. You need a guy that has a little bit of vision, and that's what Trent Richardson has never had. And it's also what NFL scouts missed when they looked at him. They saw him play at Alabama, and they're like, look how good this guy is. The difference from college to the pros, 100% different, because the holes only get narrower, and you have to have a guy who can see that. That's why I'm saying the Steelers should stay away from this at all costs.
Hey, Sean, we're going to stick to football this show. Sean, catch us on Tuesday night, and we'll go all into Yankees free agency, man. If that's what you want to do, we'll do some research because we got a lot of football in front of us, so our baseball is just a tad bit rusty right now, so we'll hit it.
Yeah, and we have talked about the Yankees free agency. We said they need to pick up pitching, and they need to retain as many of their bats as they
can. We can go a little bit more into it
but
on
we
Tuesday.
will. Yeah, but we will if you want to talk about that. Now let's talk about something that I know Mike, who's now in the show, wants to talk about. The Titans.
He's here.
And I'm here.
Happy birthday.
It's
not his birthday.
I'm here to talk about how the Titans finally had the complete team win we've been looking for all season long.
Offensive powerhouse.
Well, they haven't scored less than 20 points with Ryan Tannehill. And they played the Panthers. And they played the Chiefs,
powerhouse.
which, again, the Chiefs, not exactly an impressive defense, but they played the Chiefs. They played impressive games. They've played good teams with Ryan Tannehill and have put up a lot of points. Then they played Jacksonville and put up 42. This game was 7-3 at halftime, Drew. And then it was 35-3 in like a blink of an eye. Like within 5 minutes of the second half starting, it was 35-3 Titans. They scored 3 touchdowns on 5 offensive plays.
None of this impresses me. This is what the Chiefs do week in and week out.
You wanted to see dominant offensive performance? Let me show you what an offense looks like, Chief fans, okay?
Watch the Titans play.
And Mike says, let's go. That's exactly what I said all day long. And then the Jags crept back into it.
Let's go! That's how he does it.
And then the Jags crept back into it. They scored some garbage points. I mean, whew. Job well done, boys. Again, the defense showed up. The offense showed up. The only thing I can say that I would like to see a little bit more from the Titans was a faster start offensively. Because, again, they went into this one at halftime 7-3.
Yeah.
I would like to see a few more points offense. I would like to see 17-3, where we're like, okay, Titans got a grip on this one. We just need a little bit of decent play in the second half, and we're good. But it's hard to complain. When your team scores 42 points and reasonably has to score 35-3 in the second half, it's hard to complain.
Yeah. When I was watching the more important game, and that was the Dallas and the Patriot game, I kept just channeling in.
The worst game. Can we talk about that? 13-9.
I kept going into the other game, and I'm like, 7-3. I was like, what a boring game. Right now, I know Jake is watching.
I'm reading the comments.
And I get to watch the more exciting game, and then it totally flipped on me.
I know.
Totally flipped on me.
Like I said, one team scored 40 points, one team scored 20, and it wasn't the matchup you thought it was going to be. 13-9 sounds like a Titans-Jaguars score. Ian says, I need to rock a Titan shirt or something. Offset the KC stuff on the bar with Titan stuff. Rep my team. We've talked about that, actually. I told Drew, I was like, do you really feel like we need all this Kansas City merch
look,
on here?
There's a can right over there. That's his team.
Yeah.
That's my can.
Yeah,
but
it's my team. Yeah. Okay. We don't have to dwell on this. Again, this was Nirvana. This is what it's like being a good team.
It's actually funny that we actually do have some Titans things.
Can I...
Don't put them up.
I went in on the Browns. Can I go in on the Titans here for a second?
Yes, go for it, man. That's what you need.
Who in this organization that needs to come out and apologize immediately decided Marcus Mariota was the better quarterback when Ryan Tannehill is?
I apologize.
It wasn't you. You were saying Tannehill was the starter too when we were getting the preseason. Again, Ryan Tannehill, even though he was not impressive in Miami, did not have a lot to work with. He should have at least been afforded the opportunity to compete for the job when you look at how bad Marcus has been in years past.
Yep. For
the past 2 years, Marcus has been subpar, and they just awarded him the first 6 games of this year until he stunk so bad they're like, look, we have to do something different. We're 2-4 against the easy part of our schedule.
Right.
I think whoever made that decision needs to come out and say, hey, look, it's my fault. I think it was ownership. I think it was Amy Adams-Strunk, who is in that perpetual battle with the 3 other owners for the Titans as to who actually gets to call the shots. Because I don't think J-Rob, John Robinson, the GM, brings in Tannehill to not play him. I don't think you trade a 4th-round pick for a quarterback to be like, oh, well, we'll just let Marcus be our quarterback, and I'll spend a 4th-round pick on a backup quarterback. You don't do that. You sign some bum and just ride with him like Blaine Gabbert. Sorry, Blaine. But they didn't do that. They obviously thought that it wasn't good enough.
You can't apologize to Blaine.
I can't.
All the crap that you talked about.
Well, he's good enough to beat Kaepernick out of a job, if I could stir up some controversy. He was good enough to beat him in San Francisco. So I will apologize to Blaine Gabbert, but he owes me one for what he did to my Titans when he had to play. Win one game and lose another. I know, terrible. My final thought for the Titans, my final thing, and I promise we'll move on, guys. My final thought for the Tennessee Titans is, what a waste of a season. This team could be 8-3 right now. This team could be 7-4. We could be in the lead for the division. If you would have pulled out against Indianapolis, if you could have beaten Jacksonville, if you could have beaten the Bills, if you could have beaten the Denver Broncos and just started Tannehill from the get-go, they had so many close games that they let get away from them because they were too stubborn to say that even though Marcus is a good person, he might not be the best quarterback to be in this team. So I'd like to know who that is. And we never will hear that because nobody's going to say that. But hey, it's again, hard to watch your team sitting at 6-5 playing like this towards the back. It's what you want to see from their momentum, but again, the way this team is playing and the way this defense has played for the past few years, an average quarterback like Ryan Tannehill is good enough. It is good enough to go 4-1 with this squad. Why did we start Marcus for the first 6 games? That's what I want to know. A couple of these comments here. Damien says, "Damn it, this is the same Titans who signed double doink Cody Parkey only after Carlos Santos missed a bunch of kicks for us, and while our kicker was hurt with a knee injury from preseason." So yes, they signed Cody Parkey, but he was literally our 3rd kicker. You got to have somebody kick the ball. I was about to go start warming up in the backyard if Parkey didn't work out.
Mike says, "Was that just to raise the point?" Well, I'm not gonna sit here, Mike, and let you talk to Jake like that.
Matthew says the Titans stink. Just saying what we're all thinking. They stink after they just destroyed the Jaguars, who everyone's destroyed the past 3 weeks. What? No.
For that standpoint,
they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
They did. Just.
Do they stink?
Yes.
I think
they're still a terrible team by that standpoint.
And Matthew, you made fun of my team, so I'm making fun of your team. Isn't this the same squad that just let the Broncos run up a score on you at halftime?
Yeah, it is.
I know you came back, but woo, good for you. We just beat the bad teams like Jacksonville with Tannehill now. So I'm on the next level, Matthew. Sorry to tell you that. We're on the next level. We're better than the Vikings. I'm kidding. Probably not, but maybe. I can dream. Couple more. Mike says, no, he said he was about to raise that point about starting Mariota and how different things would have been if Tannehill had been put in earlier. I agree with you. Who watched this preseason and said Tannehill doesn't deserve a shot with the ones? The Mariota fans for the Titans fan base. Because there's still people, even in week 6, that were telling me the Mariota needs to keep playing.
Yeah. Scoring
like 8 points a week.
Yeah. There was a lot of people saying that.
So, yes.
Of course, we're in Titans country, so...
Yeah.
Everyone's all about their boy.
Everyone's got those fans that you're like, they're part of the fan base, but we don't grant them the rank of master. All right, we'll move on. Let's talk Cowboys, Patriots, then get out of here,
Mike
Drew.
also says definitely wouldn't have lost to the Broncos.
To the Broncos, the Bills was in range. The Jaguars were in range for most of the game. The Colts was literally a 2-point game all the way to the end, even though Mariota threw 140 yards to the air. Ooh, look out. Every game except for there was like one of the first 6 that weren't winnable games for the Titans. And with Tannehill playing and the way the offense has been playing, they probably would have won 2, 3, 4 more of them than they did.
Mike says, why is there so much attachment to Mariota, though? Before you answer this, because you're a Titans fan, let me answer this.
Go ahead.
It's because the assets you put into him. You sit there and you trade up to get that 2nd overall pick. He quickly became the face of your franchise and went to a Pro Bowl and took you into playoffs and won a playoff game against it at that time. And I'm not saying because of the Chiefs, a superior opponent. That's the reason why. So people find such small amount of success and reign this guy as the ultimate person, the ultimate, answer to your guys' quest to find a quarterback. It's the same issue that I bring up about the Broncos is they get so caught up on a little success that they're going to stick with Brandon Allen. And maybe Brandon Allen turns out to be a great quarterback. Or maybe it goes down the same path as Marcus Mariota, where you put 4 or 5 years into this guy and it faults all over you because he was never meant to be that one guy.
Great teams are not romantic, Mike. The problem is the Titans are a romantic franchise that they want to believe in the guys that they have. They want to show some loyalty, but football is a cutthroat game. It's either are you performing or are you not? And some teams have a problem being that cold-hearted. The Titans had a problem being that cold-hearted with a guy that was as good of a guy as Marcus Mariota is. And again,
see you, Matthew.
He's a good guy, but just being a good guy isn't enough to win football games. They stuck around with Vince Young too long. They fall in love with the guys that they want to succeed instead of using the guy that has the best chance to succeed on every Sunday. That's the problem with the Titans. Also, Ian says Titans country. Titans only have a fan base for Titans country. I get it, but hey, when my team wins, I'm going to brag about it. So you got to listen to it.
Keith
Sorry.
Says, drink in, man.
He's a drinking man. Good to see you, Keith. We're drinking men too.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. We'll round it out.
All right.
Cowboys, Patriots.
Let's do it.
13-9.
Let's go to the snooze fest.
What should have been a slugfest turned into a snooze fest. Are you disappointed with this result?
Yes. Just because he was...
Whoa, hold on. Damien, let me counter this real quick. Damien says, whoa, let's not get excited here. The Titans just lost to a sucky team. Let's just wait until they beat the Chiefs or the Ravens, then you can celebrate. They did just beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if that was a troll comment or what, but they just beat the Chiefs literally before they went on bye. Can we get a little bit of credit now? And they lost to the Panthers. Panthers are a good team. We like the Panthers, right? We don't love the Panthers, but they're like, that's a good team.
Yeah.
Losing to the Panthers is more than losing 34-3 to the Jets, right? At least I can say that about my team.
I got no answer to you. I got nothing to say.
No backup.
I mean, what?
Damien's going for the Achilles heel, saying my team sucks, and you've got nothing to say. All right, fine. That's
okay.
Just wait till we talk about the Chiefs again. Just wait till they come off bye.
You want me to talk about your team?
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you guys put up 42 points. Can you do it
Here
again?
comes the same story that I've heard
Can you do
since
it
staying
against
up
the
in there.
Patriots?
We can against the Chiefs.
Can you win your division?
We can against the Chiefs.
The Chiefs suck. I've already told you
Damn.
that. I said the way they're playing, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
You did say that.
They will be because the AFC West is that weak.
Well, let's talk about that. Can they do it against the Patriots? Maybe. Did you see the way Patriots played this game? That was ugly.
You ain't getting no.
Dude, that was ugly.
You are not getting 42 points against the Patriots.
They won't need to. They scored 13 against the Cowboys, and it took the special teams to get the job done. The Cowboys' defense has been subpar this year.
Yeah.
And the Patriots put up 13 points? Yeah, I think they could do it against the Patriots, especially when we're talking about how much of a revenge game this is for Tennessee, because they hate the Patriots. Half our team used to be Patriots. They did it last year. They dominated the Patriots when this was a better Patriots team.
Do you think if we call the
in
NFL
the playoffs
and have them change the schedule to play them?
Next week,
Yeah.
I think I would take Titans. Right now, I would. After this performance, and they would get up for that game because they're like, it's the Patriots. If you said right now they're playing the Jets next week, I'd be like, I got to think about this one.
No, you might be the lowest seed in the AFC, and you might be facing it.
They'll have to play They'll have to play somebody else first, and that will be a struggle. Like they have to play Baltimore week 1, or if they play Kansas City again.
You want me to stick up for you?
I'm
your team.
I'm kidding. I don't care.
I don't think you guys are going to win your division, but I think you have a very good chance of being that 5th or 6th seed. Well, not the 5th. You'd be the 6th seed in the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I get what you're saying, Damien. Woo, they beat Jacksonville. What a big win. But this is they're 4-1 since Tannehill's come in. And I know they lost to the Panthers, but they've beaten good teams like the Chiefs. And I know you've been down on the Chiefs here lately, but they're still a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
Regardless. The Chiefs are a tough team to beat.
Yeah, as long as
Jacksonville historically has been a
well.
rival, and when you play look at the Steelers in Cincinnati this week. Look at the Falcons, the way they played the Panthers and the Saints. When you play in a rival, things always get chippy, because even if these guys are not great teams by NFL standards, they're a couple plays away from beating even the great teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am pretty hyped after this win.
No, you should be.
All right, Cowboys, Patriots. I promise we'll move on.
First thing I said to you was offensive powerhouse.
Yeah. Look out, Kansas City. There's a new offense in town. That's all I can say. They scored more points than the Chiefs did when they played each other. All right. Cowboys, Patriots. Are you more disappointed in the Cowboys, or are you more unsurprised that the Patriots won another close game in New England?
I'm more surprised that the refs still give it to the Patriots. I don't know what could have happened, man. Maybe that drive went to complete dud after Zeke got that first down, and then they got the tripping call on Frederick going. And you look at the I don't know. You know, would even if Marty Cooper would have caught that 11-yard pass for the first down at 4th and 11. Even if all that being said, they still might not have won. But who out there can sit there and tell me, even Patriots fans didn't want to see that game end like that, where it was a play off of literally the guys in stripes that have caused the game to come to an end.
And
they still
right.
might have won. They still might have won, the Patriots. But can you let them play to win? Like, come on.
The tripping call in the end of the game was terrible, but the Cowboys, I still think it's on you. I know the Patriots are a good defense, or maybe even a great defense. They might be the best defense in the league right now. But 9 points out of the number one offense in football, 9?
That's good.
The problem with the Cowboys so far has been, we'll play great against these terrible teams and put up great numbers, but then when we play the good ones, we're going to come up short. And I think that's what happened today.
I don't want to just put it on that. Dak Prescott threw an interception in the red zone as well.
Yeah.
And that could have been a touchdown right there.
Yeah, or at the very least, don't make a mistake. That's 3 points. You're talking about needing a field goal at the end of the game instead of needing to score a touchdown.
We might be talking about them running out the clock at the end of the fourth quarter instead of them going for a touchdown. I mean, there's a lot to it. It's just, in my opinion, watching the end was just disappointing.
It really did feel like the Cowboys got cheated with the call, because they said they called tripping twice. When was the last time you were watching the NFL and saw a tripping penalty? It's been a while. And to call it twice back to back, or in the same game.
And against the same guy.
Yeah.
I also don't want to get in the mechanics of stepping your foot back, but your knee lifts up.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Patriots get lucky in this one. I really do feel that way. I felt like the Cowboys had enough momentum to maybe get down the field and make something happen, or at the very least scare them. At least they didn't have to wonder whether that was going to happen. Cowboys got bailed out by the NFL. I think Jason Garrett made a terrible call going for it on 4th and 11 instead of punting with 3 timeouts, and the team only scored 13 points against you all game long. Just take the chance on the defense, bet on them stopping them. They didn't do that. And Cowboys lose, Patriots win.
Damon says, damn you, Nagy.
We've been saying that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Let's get into primetime games and let these guys go so they can watch Sunday Night Football.
Packers 49ers, Drew. What an interesting matchup.
I'm going to go with the Niners. I'm not going to get into it. I will get into it, but I'm not even going to, think about it.
You're not sweating.
I'm not going to think about it anymore. I fully believe this Niners team is a legit team. I did question them a few times. This isn't a knock on the Packers, but I think the two defenses going against each other, what run game do I believe in the most? And it's the Niners run game at this point.
Yeah, defensively they've been better. I thought about going for the Packers for a long time when you talk about the injuries that the 49ers have, but I don't think it matters. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to use whatever personnel he has. I don't think the Packers defense is going to be good enough. I think Jimmy G will probably throw for 186 yards in this game, and we'll see the running game take over the rest. And I think Aaron Rodgers will do enough, but against this defense, he's not the turning point. They're going to need to be able to control the ball and keep that running game for the 49ers on the sideline. I'll go 49ers too. We'll go against our offseason pick. I really thought about Packers here, but I also really thought about the Eagles, and that didn't work out. So I'll flip. I'll flip again. I think this is the week of flipping. I'm going to go 49ers, Drew, at home. Huge game. They just lost a close one to the Seahawks not too long ago. They're going to need this one. I think the 49ers pull it off.
Let's go into Monday night.
Ravens at Rams. Is anyone not taking the Ravens here? Especially with the way the Rams' offensive lines look. I think, and this is a bold prediction, the Ravens, with the way this refreshed defense has looked since they traded for Marcus Peters, might tie their record against the Titans last year, putting up 11 sacks. Because I think Jared Goff is going to be eating a lot of turf in this one with the way his offensive line is played.
Yeah, and that might be a bold predicament, but here's my bold one, okay? This is what I'm believing that's going to happen in this game. First, I want everyone to know I'm picking the Ravens to win this game. Surprise, surprise. I believe
I am too. I'm not brave enough to bet against them.
But my bold prediction is it will not be based off of Lamar Jackson. I actually fully believe that this Rams offense, what Wade Phillips and the likes of Eric Weddle and Ramsey, it's not Jameis, but Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, and what that defense can do to contain a running quarterback like this, you might see one of the lowest outings. Lamar Jackson, a runner for the MVP award this year, might have one of his lowest outings. That being said, I still think the Ravens can win this game because I don't really have a lot of faith in the Rams.
I think they could not throw the ball once and probably still beat the Rams with what their defense is going to do.
But I don't think it's going to be off Lamar Jackson. Yes, he's going to touch the ball. Yes, he's going to make plays happen. But it's not going to be like
playing the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Or the Bengals, and everyone's like, look at him and this 45-yard run. Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be because Lamar Jackson did it. That's my bold prediction. Now, that being said, hope that doesn't happen because he's on 2 of my fantasy teams.
And Sean says, not so fast, Drew. He's going with the 49ers. We're both on the 49ers. We both said that. But we get where you're coming from. Finally, my last thoughts on this game. I like the Ravens. I like the way they're playing. Do I think it's good enough to win a Super Bowl? I'm not so convinced as others are. Everyone's ready to crown Lamar Jackson the MVP, and look out, he's an amazing quarterback, and everyone who said he wasn't going to be a good quarterback is wrong. I disagree with all of that, but I just don't think a bad offensive line is going to stop this secondary or stop this pass rush from the Ravens that's been much better these past few weeks since bringing in a guy like Marcus Peters. That's my key. I don't think Ty Gurley's going to make an impact in this game. I think they're going to be in the backfield before the snap.
Ian says, going Rams. He has have Ravens friends going to the game, hoping maybe the Colts see him defeated. And Damian says, Ravens win for Bears' sake.
It would help them out. And the Bears, even though it was ugly, won today. They're still in the race. It's not looking good, but they're still in the race.
Right.
I'm with you. I think a lot of people are taking the Ravens here. Ian, I love how you're always in on the underdog. but I'm not sure I can go with the Rams in this one. I think I'm going to go Ravens and 49ers here. Final thoughts, Drew?
Ian says, don't forget to rep Sports Around the Bar with your very own t-shirt available for purchase on Sports Around the Bar Facebook page. Yes, guys, we have t-shirts, and we also recommend when you get them, take a picture of yourself.
Hoodies on the way,
to
too.
us.
Yeah.
And so we can post out and show you guys off in Sports Around the Bar memorabilia. It means the world to us when you guys do it.
Absolutely. Hoodies on the way, too. If you need something for the winter, you're looking for a new hoodie, we're going to have Sports Around the Bar hoodies, so you want to show your support, you can do that for us. Look for it in the next 3 years.
Maybe
as soon
we'll
as
stop being cheap and we'll buy our own stuff.
We've got some. We got
a sticker on that monitor.
Well, I have a shirt, too.
Oh, you never wear it?
You're the only cheap one. No, I don't. I need to.
So maybe you're cheap because you buy it and you got it in like a plastic cover.
I'll wear it next time. I'll wear it on Tuesday, whatever the next show is.
I'm going to say BS.
Final thoughts.
But now that
I will take a picture of it tonight. Do you want to make that a beer bet?
No. Now that I said BS, you're probably going to wear it. But if you didn't say that, you probably wouldn't have worn it.
By the way, I owe you one for the Bills. I think I gave you 2.5 points at. I'm going to have to go rewatch it because I forget what I said.
You gave me 2.5.
Yeah, and it was more than 2.5.
Yeah.
Several more than 2.5. It was 18.5. All right. Final thoughts. We'll get out of here. We'll go watch some Sunday Night Football. Guys, thank you for sticking with us. It was a great show tonight. I had a lot of fun.
I did too. Of course, we always apologize for the interruption.
Normally, I don't have fun, but I had fun.
Yeah, just this one time. Out of the 200 and some shows, this was the one fun show.
Yeah.
We do apologize for all the inconvenience of Facebook, internet, whatever else, but we're glad you stuck with us. And I definitely want to give a special thanks out to everyone that commented. Ian, Sharif, Ray, Justin, Michael, George, Dustin, Andrew, Devin, Perry, Jeremy, Chris, Eric, Justin, Rob, Sean, Damon, Bees, Matthew, Mike, Keith. You guys are all awesome, and we appreciate you take time out of your day to be with us.
And even if you were just standing in the back watching us, again, we appreciate you here. Not everyone wants to comment. If you do, again, we love talking sports with you. Don't be shy. There's room for everyone around here at the Sports Around the Bar. We appreciate you, though, anyway. It was a fun show. I had a great time. My final thoughts for this episode are, my team's amazing.
Oh, my God.
Because we just beat up a bad team. My team's amazing. So we'll talk more about that on Tuesday. I know you can't wait to hear more about the Titans. I'll be here to talk about it. I hope you are too.
I will not be here Tuesday because I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be back talking about the Chiefs after they beat Oakland. Just watch. Just watch. They're going to kill Oakland, and he's going to tell me how they're a Super Bowl team.
We're probably going to lose to Oakland.
27-24. They win, and we're talking about the Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender. All right, for Sports Around the Bar. We'll be here 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central. As always, we hope to catch you on Tuesday. As always, I'm Jake, your bartender. This is Drew, and we will be back and hope to catch you then.
See ya.